Dieu vivant, Dieu très haut, tu es le Dieu d'amour. Mon Dieu, tu es grand, tu es beau. Dieu vivant, Dieu très haut, Dieu présent en toute création. Par tous les continents et par l'eau des rivières, par le feu qui te dit comme un buisson ardent, et par l'aile du vent, je veux crier, mon Dieu, tu es grand, tu es beau, Dieu vivant, Dieu très haut, tu es le Dieu d'amour. Mon Dieu, tu es grand, tu es beau, Dieu vivant, Dieu très haut, Dieu présent en toute création. Par toutes les montagnes et toutes les vallées, par l'ombre des forêts et par les fleurs des champs, par les bourgeons des arbres et l'herbe des prairies, par le blé en épi, je veux crier mon Dieu.
It's about time. Time to wake up your mind. Time to be informed, engaged, and empowered. It's time for the Eric Dawson Radio Show.
I just want to call and say what's up. Oh, it's you.
Hey, bro.
Yo, what's up, man?
Well, listening to you.
Thank you very much.
We've got news from Essex County, New Jersey, and beyond.
In obscene terms, he said,
Accountability starts here.
Now give me a beat.
I'm concerned because we haven't elected people who, to me, have the acumen to begin to try to figure it out.
It's the Eric Dawson Radio Show on RTH 2000.
Hey, this is Eric Dawson, and this is another episode of the Eric Dawson Radio Show on RTH 2000, 95.1 FM. I'm here with my co-host on Thursdays, Diane L. Murray-Clements.
Good morning.
Man,
Good morning.
do I have your right mic on?
Are you on? Am I on?
Now you are. There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Hey, I can't complain. Very excited about, today's show. We've got a guest that's going to be coming in the studio, and, once again, I mean, it's not a subject that I enjoy talking about, but it's a subject that needs to be talked about, and we see that there's a national movement around this. And in fact, there's a women's march in Morristown, I believe it is, right? Around women equality, on all fronts. So and it's important. And so we're going to have Latina BYRD, who is a NEWARK firefighter, whose mom was on this show. Latina was on another radio show talking about the allegations that she has leveled against folks in the fire department in the city of Newark of sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, and now her job is in jeopardy. And I mean, she'll talk more about it when she comes in, but here is what I understood in having a conversation with her, that for 17 years she's been a firefighter and has done an exemplary job. And it wasn't until, according to her, and she'll clear this up, but it wasn't until she was up for a promotion that things started to turn. And the first thing that turned was they accused her of stealing. And the accusations of theft went on for a while, and ultimately went to court.
Wow.
And a jury in 23 minutes found her innocent of all of those charges. Now, I don't know where the union was in terms of working and or supporting her,
Right.
but it seemed, at least from my conversation with her, that the top brass were against her, and then beyond that, you had is
She's
here?
coming in right now.
Okay, so she's coming in right now, and so
Good
I'll
morning,
hold.
Latina.
Hey, good morning.
Sit you right here.
We're gonna sit you there. Oh, we're gonna. Okay, so we're gonna, I guess, move those things from that chair, put her in that mic. I guess those things can go out on the couch.
Community radio. I love
Community radio. All right. Hey, Latina, the mic in front of you. Can you just speak? I just want to make sure I got that mic turned on.
Hello?
There we go. And then your headsets. And then Charles, I guess, will get the next set of headsets set up. So I'm going to ask you guys to be patient as we set this up. I think it's going to be an informative discussion. It's going to be an enlightening conversation that I think at the end of the day, I hope at the end of the day will move you. I think I got the right ones pushed, right? Am I good? Did I do it right? Okay. Latina, I can go ahead, speaking to your mic.
Hello?
There we go. But I hope that it will be an informative conversation. But beyond that, guys, and I've said this before, the show is not built it was not built for entertainment. It's built for informing, engaging, and empowering. And so if at the end of the day, the community isn't taking the information that it gets from this show and working to improve our collective circumstance, then we're not doing what we should be doing, right? So can we agree to that? So, Latina, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I started to give a background of your situation, right? And correct me if I made any mistakes, but I said 17 years you've been with the fire department in the city of Newark.
Yes.
Okay, and to the best of my knowledge, you had no issues in the fire department, no complaints in the fire department. All of this came about around the time that you were either considering or you thought that you should be considered for promotion.
Yes.
Right? And so at the point that you now how many women are in the fire department in the city of Newark?
Wow. Currently, I know that there are 3 African Americans. They just hired another female, and then I think there are 2 other Hispanics, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So there may be like 7 of us.
So there's
currently.
7 now.
Yes.
When you came in 17 years ago,
Yes.
how many women were in the fire department?
Myself, just me.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. There was another female. She was the first female firefighter. Her name was Jacqueline Jones. She made it to the rank of captain. And what was that?
Phone.
Is that a phone?
Yes.
Not mine. Yours. Not sure.
Okay. We'll get the phone situation taken care of.
That is mine.
All right.
Put it on vibrate.
There we go.
Put it on off or something.
All right. So there were, so just the 2 of you.
Yes.
And since she's retired.
And she retired when I became a firefighter. She was in her retirement state. She was in her 25th year.
But she did receive promotions while
And
she
she
was...
did receive promotion. Sharp James did promote her.
Okay.
She did receive promotion, and she just had enough. I begged her to stay because, I was scared of the situation of me being there without her.
Okay.
And she said, no, I have to go. It's time for me to retire.
When you say she had enough,
She's just had enough. She had been through some things herself.
Okay.
She probably never spoken to anyone else about it, but she did share some things with me.
Okay.
And she just was ready to go.
Well, that seems to make a little sense, right? Since the two of you were the only women in the fire department.
Yes.
That prior to that were just like a men's club.
Yes.
Right.
So, so at some point in your 17 years, you believe that through the work that you've done there, that you were entitled to be considered for promotion.
Yes.
Okay. And now when that conversation started circulating, what was the culture?
I think the culture was just that I was not going to make it. Like, everything that I had tried to do, every school that I had taken, every certification that I have gotten, was always underlooked. They never considered me for anything positive. Any word that was ever given about me or spoken about me was always in a negative manner.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked my behind off for that department. I worked not really for the department, but for the community, because I love the community. There were times I was called out of bed and they said, listen, they need a female representation, they need a firefighter, little girls need to see you. And I went, I went because little girls do need to see that. You know what I mean? And I knew that I was a role model.
Okay.
So I would never do anything to hinder that reputation.
All right.
At all. I would never do anything like that.
But you believed through the conversations and the culture there that irrespective of what you had accomplished in all of those years, that you getting promoted was never going to happen.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And then we had a conversation where you told me that at some point charges were leveled against you, and those charges were that you had stolen money.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and then did that happen in and around the same time that you were trying to have conversations about being promoted?
Yes, it was. Yeah, excuse me, because this is really hard for me, because what happened to me not only happened to me, but it happened to my family. It happened to my children. They were impacted by it, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that I was headed in a positive manner towards in the department,
mm-hmm.
but I knew that they were never gonna give me what I need, what was just due to me.
Right.
I knew at some point in time that they were just gonna shoot me down. So what happened?
I'm sorry to cut in. I just want to know, can you just give a little background, or like what was your day-to-day work experience like, being a female working with a bunch of guys in the fire department every day, staying overnights and stuff like that? What was that like for you?
Well, I really just wanted to be a part of the team. I came from a military background, and I really just wanted to get along with everyone. There were times where we had some instances where we would get a call and they would hide my boots, and they thought it was a joke, or they would take the water spike next to where the dishwasher was, and then they would wrap a cord around it, so when you turn the water on, it flows in your face, things like that, jokes and things like that. And I did not have time for jokes. I wasn't there for jokes. I was there to do my job. And
so do you think maybe that was like their way of hazing you to break you in?
Probably, yeah. And I was told many times, oh, this is what we do in the fire department, you wanted this job, this is what happens, and things of that nature. And nothing was addressed. And there would be instances when I come to work, because I had to fight to get my own room. I was told rooms are only for captains. You're not a captain. I said, yeah, but I'm a female. I need some separate quarters, because we have things that come up time of the month, things of that nature, and you don't want to be in anyone else's atmosphere.
Right.
And So I had to fight for it, and finally I got my own room. But then one of my rooms was upstairs, and upstairs across from a shower. They would take showers with the door open, things of that nature. When I would address it, you know, it's always swept under the table. There was no issue that I ever had was ever taken in consideration, even with the bathroom issue. The bathrooms are hideous. Even now, some of them are like deplorable for far as females using them. But again, they don't take us into consideration. They didn't take me into consideration.
And you, oh, there. And you spoke about all of these issues to them.
Yes, at one point in time or another. Yes, I did.
Okay. And I'm just trying to give all of the people who are watching and listening, make sure that they have a complete understanding of the culture, of what you were working in. Mm-hmm. I want them to be able to picture this environment, mm-hmm. this atmosphere. For 17 years mm-hmm. that you worked in. And in spite of all of the things that you were experiencing, why didn't you just say, like your female predecessor, I have enough. I don't want to do this. I'm going to go do something else.
Well, one thing about her, she did her 25 years, so she was in a position where she could retire mm-hmm. with her full pension.
Right.
I was not in a position where I could retire with my full pension. You know, I am a single mother. I had, you know, children depending on me. Mm-hmm. You know, even with my family, my family, because of the salary I made, my family pretty much depended on me. You know, so I had other people depending on me, and I had to endure, you know, for them. Not for myself, but I really had to endure it for them.
So were there any other firemen in the department that would speak up or say something? Because I know when I sat on the council as a female, there's always seems to be men against the women sometimes. Mm-hmm. And there's always maybe one man that'll say, well, you know, guys, you shouldn't say that, or mm-hmm. that's not right. Mm-hmm. Even though he might get smacked down by the other guys, at least it's something in their face, and they're like, okay, maybe we'll back off this week, or maybe we'll slow down mm-hmm. with it. Was there anybody inside the department that was like, look, what y'all doing is a little bit too much?
Oh yes, I have. Now listen, don't get me wrong. I have some supporters. I have some guys that have been with me from day one through everything. There were times that I had to call them to the firehouse just to sit around the firehouse with me, because I was, you know, a little intimidated. Right. You know, and they would come in and say, is everything okay? They just sit around and, you know, make sure that the presence was known, that if anything happened to me, that they were be there for me. So my career has not been, I would say, not everyone against me. There are some guys that right now today, they're with me every step of the way. When I had court, they was there. I went to court over 30 times for that situation, and they were there every single day. And I'm talking about these guys, they have wives, they have children, they have lives, you know, they have their own families and businesses, but they took the time out to see about me. And those guys I consider them my brothers. Like, we don't have the same mom or dad, but we are, you know, we are like, we are family,
right?
You know.
So when you were going back and forth to court, because that's emotionally draining to begin with, who was paying for the court costs? Was the union supporting you? Because you should have been, you know. So what happened to the union support?
Well,
I know you pay union dues. That's like mandatory. That's the first thing they take out your check next to taxes.
Exactly. Well, the union told me that I was on my own. And the union told me that their advice to me was that I seek legal counsel elsewhere. And so the court cost was on me totally. And that's the reason why it's a financial devastation to me right now, because you know, lawyers cost money. You know, every time we go to court, that costs money.
Every time you pick up that phone, it costs money.
It costs money. Every piece of paperwork that they do, even pencils and pens, with them, it costs money. So my family suffered legal, you know, with the legal issue. We suffered financially, and we're still suffering financially from it, trying to recuperate, because I have no income now.
So the court fight about the money, the alleged stolen money, when did that begin?
That started in somewhere around 2012, right around the summer of 2012.
Okay. And you had a whole court proceeding. How long did that last?
That lasts all the way until January of 2017.
So for 5 years,
yes,
you fought to prove your innocence with regard to an allegation that was leveled against you for stealing money.
Yes.
And then how did that turn out after 5 years?
I was acquitted. It took the jury only 23 minutes to acquit me of, not to say that I wasn't guilty. And even, they gave me a charge of hindering, said I had some type of log or something like that. The judge threw that out. He was like, she couldn't have hindered anything. He threw that out,
Okay, so in your 17 years, or I guess back then it was 12 years, right?
Yeah, back then it was around, yes.
So 12 years being with the fire department, running into burning buildings, saving lives, risking your life, running into danger where other people run away from it. You were at that time battling an organization that abandoned you with respect to the union support. So you're on your own. You're managing your own legal fees. They drag you through 5 years of court stuff. And at the end of that, the jury in 23 minutes acquits you.
Yes, in 23 minutes.
Okay. So after that happened, what did the union say? After that happened, what did the top brass in the fire department say? When that happened, what did anybody in the administration say with regard to apologies or anything like that?
There was never any apology. Really what they tried to do, oh, my mom's here. Really what they tried to do was put me on departmental charges for the same thing that I had been acquitted of. So now we go from battling it, legally, to now I'm battling it departmentally wise.
Okay.
So I got a question.
So wait a minute, are we going to try to get your mom on? Hey, Charles, what are we doing? I mean,
you talking?
I can, how it understand, I let remember.
All right, so then, hey, Charles,
This is a small world.
Charles, I'm going to need you in to help. But maybe, Pastor, you can leave your bags and stuff out on the couch. They're safe. Nobody's going to come in and take them. And it frees up the chair for you to be able to sit down. And then Charles, if he's out there, he'll get you set up with headphones, and we'll get your mic turned on. So I'm sorry, you had a question?
So my question to you is, so before it got to the point that they filed these criminal charges, were you written up or anything in-house? I had never been. This is a thing. People say, "Oh, I was a coward. I never wanted to go into a burning building." People said, I didn't do my job. I never had a bad counseling statement. I never had any bad write-ups about me or anything like that. This is just things that was circulating around the department, things that that was spoken of against me. So do you think this is retaliation, and if so, what for? Why did this all come about, that they would accuse you of stealing money?
Well, I think that they knew that I had some evidence about sexual harassment.
Okay.
About gender discrimination.
Okay.
And they probably tried to demoralize my name before anything could come out. They wanted me just gone and away before anything could come out.
So wait a minute. So had you made allegations at that time of sexual harassment and misconduct and those kinds of things?
Yes, I spoke to different individuals, and I told them what I was experiencing, and they advised me, and they said, you should make sure you write it up and send it up through the chain of command. I spoke to people in the chain of command that were over me, chiefs that were over me, and I was told to, you don't want to make waves. You want your job, right? You don't want to make waves. You want to keep quiet about certain things, and all I can think about is, like, I want my job, I really didn't want to make waves because I wanted my job.
Because that's the old mentality, because you're dealing with a bunch of men. Men say, just, deal with it. Move on. You'll be okay. But they don't understand from the female's situation that that's just not how we progress. And we can't move on. Once you have violated us, it's hard to move past that, let alone work with you, knowing what you have done to me and knowing the other people around us know what's going on and don't speak up on our behalf.
It's interesting, and we're going to get back to your story. I was talking to a very good friend of mine who used to be in the prosecutor's office, and I told him the show we were going to have.
Wow.
And I was shocked at his response. He said to me, well, those are the kinds of conversations that take place in the locker room. And if you don't want to have those kind of conversations, then just leave the locker room. I said, whoa, like literally, when I tell you, I was put back on my heels because I'm thinking, this is a person that I've known for the better part of 40 years.
Right.
And that this person would have said, wow, yeah, it's inappropriate. When they were having those conversations, I felt this way about it, and they shouldn't have been having them. But what they said was, no, this is what happens. And then people who don't feel comfortable with them should just remove themselves from the situation.
Right.
And he never spoke about the fact that the culture should be looked at
or changed.
And changed. And so now you're in the middle of all that. Battling. So now you battle 5 years to clear your name regarding the theft charges, right? And then you are currently, fast forward now, you are still working with them in the documentation of the sexual harassment and all. So let's talk about that. When you say sexual harassment, what kinds of things were taking place?
Well, first, let me say this. My name is not cleared. Okay? They never cleared my name.
Wait a minute. You just said to me that that it took the jury 23 minutes to find you not guilty.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So what do you mean your name's not clear?
Well, my name isn't clear because after that, then the department decided to put me on departmental charges for the same thing.
So they went backwards.
Yes.
So they didn't initially charge you with anything. They went criminally to say you stole money, to charge you criminally.
Yes.
When the criminal justice system said, nope, there's nothing here. You didn't prove anything. She's innocent. So we're going to bring you back, and now we're going to prosecute you in-house.
Right. That's correct.
Sounds like discrimination to me.
Yes. And I'm the only one that they've ever did that way. If you go in the history books of the Newark Fire Department, I know I'm the only one that they've ever charged like that. The only one that they ever sent to they sent it to the prosecutor's office, which was Ambrose, which is our director. He was in charge of the prosecutor's office at that particular time, and now he's my director. So,
which is an appointed position.
Which is
right?
an appointed position.
Appointed by what the executive county exec?
No,
by the county exec or
no.
or by the mayor?
By the mayor.
By the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, then they came back and charged me departmentally. So my name still isn't clear, and they refuse to put a retraction about it in the papers. They refuse to.
Okay, and so now they are dealing with you internally.
Yes.
And what is the procedure for dealing with you internally? Is there an investigation? How does that work?
Well, then we had a departmental hearing. Departmental hearing was subsided September the 28th. The city would offer you whatever they would offer you, and either you take it or you don't take it.
So wait a minute. So really, it's not a hearing, right? So
yeah, that's kind of like.
So you're guilty,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you're guilty,
exactly. You
and take this,
right? Exactly.
So they're really so the idea of you're innocent until proven guilty,
right? That never occurred with me. I was straight. I was guilty.
You're guilty.
I was guilty.
And so you should just take this and walk away.
Exactly.
Wow.
You can tell by the remarks that was made about me in the papers that I was straight. If anybody read those articles, they felt they knew that I was straight guilty.
Okay, so just to go back just a little bit, the money that they accused you of stealing was around the sum of $2,000. Where did this money come from? What was the money? The purpose of the money? Just so the people that are listening kind of understand how this got to where it is.
Well, it's a house fund, okay?
Okay.
A house fund, we buy water, tea, coffee, juice, things like that. And we're also responsible for our own cable because the city doesn't provide cable, okay? Cable bills, always behind, always behind. House dues, people don't pay them on time. So what you, as a house person, what you do is, sometimes it's short, and what you would do is get money from your account, you know, and pay it for them, and then when people catch up, then you reimburse yourself. Mm-hmm. I didn't do it no different than the person before me, and probably the person before him, and probably firehouses throughout the city. I don't know how it got to this level, but all I know is that
and $2,000, even with you guys averaging, I'm going to just say 6 figures, $2,000 is a drop in the bucket. It really is. To say somebody would steal something like that is just like you're fabricating or trying to come up with something to throw them under the bus.
Let me tell you, I would not take anything from them. I would not take anything from none of them. There is no one on that job that I would take anything from. As much as I have given, as much as I have tried to give, has always been from me. And they continuously demoralized me. They did not care about my family. You know, my son was in school at the time, and he was told, oh, your mother's going to jail, your mother's a thief. Mm-hmm. And it just went on and on and on, and no one came to my defense. I couldn't even tell my I couldn't even tell my family about it. Like, my family really didn't know anything about it until they got to the end of the court system. I couldn't.
Because it's a lot.
It was too much.
Emotionally.
It was too much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But when they accused me of stealing money, I mean, really? Really?
And what's crazy is I've heard so many different things, and of course, just to repeat, you were, and you're still employed as a NEWARK firefighter, correct? You're still employed?
I guess I'm employed. I'm not receiving any paycheck though, but I guess I'm still employed.
So the whole time this procedures and everything has been going on, you haven't been paid?
I haven't been paid in almost a year now.
And what was their reasoning for that?
Well, they put me on what you call unpaid medical leave. I'm on unpaid medical leave now. Now they're dealing with the issue because, quote unquote, I have PTSD. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. I served in the military. I know I'm not the only one on the fire department or the police department that has suffered with PTSD.
Or anybody walking down the street. Or anybody that was in 9/11.
Right.
So,
okay.
Pete, when were you diagnosed with PTSD?
I was diagnosed with PTSD when I came home from the military.
So, you came home when?
Somewhere around, I probably was diagnosed somewhere around 1999.
So you were diagnosed in 1999 with PTSD.
Like yes.
You applied for the fire department when?
1998.
1998. And you took the test and the physical and all of that in what year?
I think it was 98 that I took the test too.
Okay.
Because I remember my son was very, very small.
So when they brought you onto the fire department, were they aware that you had PTSD?
They didn't ask me if I had PTSD.
Okay.
That wasn't a question.
It wasn't a question.
No.
And that's sort of like a HIPAA thing. Some things you don't have to.
Okay.
You know, it's a HIPAA law. Some
like
things you don't have to disclose.
All right.
Right.
So they didn't know, wasn't an issue. And 17 years, you operated as a firefighter.
Yes.
With PTSD.
Yes.
Did it hinder you?
No. Let me tell you. I bought this book because I wanted you to see all the certifications that I acquired. You can look through all those certifications I acquired.
So these are all certifications you required
went to school
with PTSD?
With PTSD.
Oh, okay.
Passed promotional exam with PTSD. But see, PTSD is like cancer. Mm-hmm. It can lie dormant until something else, stress, triggers it, mm-hmm. and then it can reactivate itself again. Okay. So what happened was what I started experiencing in the fire service through my job, what it did was reactivated the PTSD that was lying dormant in me. Okay. So then I started having little stress attacks and, real bad anxiety, mm-hmm. things like that, couldn't sleep and things of that nature,
okay. All right. Did you feel that whatever you were exhibiting as a result of the stress that you were under from the sexual harassment, from the 5 years of them trying to convict you of stealing $2,000, did you feel that whatever that stress was stress that would prohibit you from being able to do the job that you did successfully for 17 years?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
And did your doctors think that there was a problem, that you couldn't perform your job?
No, they didn't.
So these are arbitrary thoughts from top brass within the fire department. Again, one, to ignore what a jury decided in 23 minutes, mm-hmm. that they tried over a 5-year period, and then now what doctors have said to you that they've ignored it too. So when they have you under unpaid medical leave.
Yes.
And you've been unpaid for how long?
Almost a year. February 5th would be a year.
How's your family surviving?
Ooh. Through God, it's the grace of God that we're surviving. Like I said, I have a core of guys that support me. Those guys even support me financially.
Wow, that's brotherhood.
Not only emotionally, but they support me, financially too. And my daughter, this is my daughter here. She's 23. Mm-hmm. She has a job, and she
everybody's pulling their weight.
Everybody's trying to pull their weight. My baby son, he's in college. He's summa cum laude. He's on the honor society, and like there's times Mom, I need $25. I can't. I don't even have $25 to send him. Mm-hmm. I have to call one of my brothers, and they send him $25. Like that. It's just.
And through this, is the union still silent?
The union finally wrote a letter to the administration January 5th and told the administration, that they were in violation.
Mm-hmm.
And
January 5th of this year?
Of this year, and that I should be returned back to duty.
So why hasn't it happened?
I don't know why it hasn't happened.
What is civil service saying?
Civil service is telling me that they're in violation too. So
the union, civil service, your doctor saying you're fine,
mm-hmm.
right? The jury acquitted you,
right?
But there are people
on the
inside.
They want me to go.
Who don't want you there.
No, they want me to go.
And it has nothing to do with your physical health, because the doctor says you're fine.
No.
Has nothing to do with you stealing $2,000 because the jury acquitted you.
Right.
It has to do with what? In your opinion?
In my opinion, yeah, I'm a female. They want me, and they want me to go. You have to understand the culture of the fire service. When I became a firefighter, when the first one left, I was alone by myself for almost 7 years. So the culture was still an all boys club. This is a female, and she's trying to infiltrate this club that they're used to being involved with. You
made them feel uncomfortable.
I made them feel, and I don't know why, because
you're a female, right? And so if they're used to doing something a certain way, and now you come along and you say, well, you can't do it that way anymore because it offends me.
Mm-hmm.
And their position is, well, then you need to, which is what my friend said to me yesterday, well, then you need to go. You need to go because you're offended. Not that the culture needs to change, but you need to go because you're offended at the culture that we've established here.
But why do I have to go? Why
I don't think you do.
Why is it that I would have to go? There is no one person.
And so my question to you is this now: leadership.
Where is it?
Where's leadership? Where's the mayor? Where's the council? Where are these folks in this fight?
There is only one person that supported me in the beginning. I would see Mildred, and I would talk to Mildred about it, and she would be an advocate for me. Not to take anything away from her, but
when you said she advocated for you, what did she do?
Well, she would say, "Listen, if you got problems, let me know. Tell me about it. Let me know."
So wait a minute. Stop. So I want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you.
But this was years back.
Okay, but she knew. But Mildred knows because you had a conversation with her.
Exactly.
So she's clear.
Yeah. I got it.
So when Councilwoman Cheneyfield, I don't know if you saw the video where she sat in her council chair and she said that there is sexual harassment taking place in City Hall. I mean, in the city of Newark, that there is sexual abuse and misconduct and all of these things. And Council President Mildred Crump said to Councilwoman Cheneyfield, you should change your phone number. That was her response to it. That Councilwoman Cheneyfield should change her number because Council President Trump said that she had encountered some discomfort before, and that's what she did.
Wow.
And then Councilwoman Cheneyfield said, I would be shocked if none of my council colleagues have heard of sexual misconduct. You're saying that in that moment, Mildred Crump, council president, was aware of your struggle.
Well, she was aware of, she probably wasn't aware of the sexual harassment, but she was aware of the discrimination against me.
So she was aware of discrimination?
Yeah, she was
not
aware.
Not the discrimination, not the sexual.
Right, but she was aware of the sexual discrimination, against me. She was aware of that.
Okay.
She knew that they did not per se like me, quote unquote. She knew that.
Okay.
Yeah, but in the latter months when I went to trial, Bessie Walker, she stood up. She became an advocate for me. When I needed someone to talk to, I'd call on the phone. She would speak to me. Because you got to understand, I was really, really, really going through something. Like, I was to the point where my mom can tell you, they didn't know what was going on with me, but I was about to check out of here. Because the stress was just too bad. It was just too much.
And it's funny you talk about the council people and how they're supposed to be supportive, and this is what we elect them to do, is to step up when situations happen, to talk for us when we can't find the words to speak for ourselves, and to fight for us as employees of the city when they're on the inside and they know what's going on because they're sitting at the table listening to these conversations. But there are also few women, I can't even probably name any, that have not been in some type of situation with one of their counterpart council people that sat on that same council with them. So they understand what it's like to be harassed or something sexually said to you that's inappropriate,
yes,
and then you bring it back to the entire council in closed session and nobody does anything, and the men sit around the table quiet and dumb,
right?
Because nobody wants to speak up and say that you were wrong, you shouldn't have said this, smack them on the hand, whatever. And the same thing happens with employees, and it's unfortunate that more people in the council did not speak up even if they didn't know what the situation is, to start an investigation, because that's what the council could do.
Right.
They could have started an investigation to see what's going on in the fire department. Why don't we put something in place where we'll have more women over there in management, and just to rotate them around from firehouse to firehouse, so people can understand it. I mean, it's the same thing that they've done with when you talk about race, and they say, oh, every company now has a diversity department or a diversity CEO or diversity VP.
And what does that mean?
You got a black person that's in charge, and they're supposed to be in charge of the rest of the black people there. That's basically what it sounds like.
What does that mean?
But it should be bringing diversity, meaning it should be bringing people together to say, look, I look like this, you think like this, I look like this, you think like that. But when it all boils down to it, we really do think and want the same things out of life. We want to pursue happiness. We want the best things for our family. We want to make some money. We want a vacation. We want to have a good time. But what it seems to happen is it just does not happen.
Well, see,
and they have it in the police. They have started it in the police department, but it has not rolled over into the fire department. And like you said, the police department is a little bit more diverse with women, more diverse with minorities of black and brown working in the department now more than ever before. I mean, there was a time from my town in Hillside, there was never a black person on the fire department, let alone a Latino, let alone a female on the police department. And still, we don't have a female fire person in our firehouse at all.
I mean, and so you understand what I'm talking about. There was no one for me to talk to.
Right.
There was no one for me to go to and say, I'm feeling this way. At one point in time, I used to, I said, I think I had a complaint years ago. The complaint was, I was always fixing my hair. Well, they didn't know that I had lost my hair and I was bald-headed. Mm-hmm. So finally I just came out the closet and said, listen, I'm going to be in the firehouse. I don't have no hair. I'm bald-headed. I'm just going to wear it bald. Mm-hmm. My mom can tell you, I'm just going to wear my hair bald. I don't want them talking about me anymore, saying that I'm fixing my hair, when I was embarrassed about to come out to the point where I'm saying, listen, to embrace myself, I don't have, my hair is,
right.
Very thin.
Right.
There were some things that happened to me while I was over in the Gulf, and my follicles started to close up. So I didn't want to tell people the whole story of what went down.
You shouldn't have had to.
Their thing was, then they put out she got cancer. I mean, everything that I did was always rebutted with something
negative.
Something negative. They started a blog and called me niggers.
They started a blog?
Apes, monkeys, coons.
Wow.
I should be home, barefoot, pregnant, having babies. And how you think I feel? I work with these people. Mm-hmm. And you don't know who said it.
But they all talking about it.
But they're all talking about it.
And nobody's standing up.
And the administration won't address it at all, even if they thought that it wasn't true, or they didn't think someone on the department said it. They could have put out a letter and said, listen, this won't be tolerated.
Right.
This won't be tolerated at all. We won't stand for you calling no member of this department any name like that.
Right.
It went through investigation through the police department. They sent it to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office sent it back to the police department. Police department sent it back to the prosecutor's office. And this is documented. So Don't say I better watch what I say. Okay? Because I don't have to watch what I say, because I'm telling the truth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I was told, watch what I say. No, you can't watch what you say when you're telling the truth. You have to watch what you say when you're telling a lie. So it was nothing, was never addressed. And it still has not been addressed. You mean to tell me we have these people on the department and they're running into people's houses in our community? Our community is what? Mostly African American. Am I right?
Yeah.
So you think we're apes, monkeys, and coons? Because if they feel that way about me, then you know they feel that way about you.
Right.
I'm no different.
So, have you ever been able to reach out to the mayor? Has the mayor had any input on this? Because I know he's aware of this, because I know in any municipality, whenever there's a lawsuit, the township attorney will talk to the mayor, even brief them on what's going on, because lawsuits means money, money means taxes, taxes mean residents are mad.
I haven't heard anything. Like I said before, I spoke with his brother. I spoke with one of his administrative officers, and they offered me the package, and the package was for me to leave. And I thought about somewhat leaving, and then I thought about why I got to give up my job. Why do I have to leave? Why? What did I do to make you want me to leave this job? When nobody gave it to me. I took the same test. I served my country. I mean, what do you want me to give? I don't understand. Why do I have to leave my job? And that's all I was offered, was for me to leave. And even now today, they just want me to leave. But why is that? But you won't address my issues. You won't call me and ask me, what's my side of the story? Why won't you ask me that? What are you afraid of?
Why? Have you filed a lawsuit against this city yet?
Well, that's in the making. So there's not much, there's a lot that I can't say.
Yeah, I understand.
That I won't say, but
it's coming.
Yeah, and it's not even about a lawsuit. People keep saying, because I think someone started a rumor before talking about I sued the city and got some money. I've never sued the city. Let me tell you something. I love Newark. I happen to actually like Newark. My mother came to Newark first, and I followed her here. I happen to like the people in Newark. I have nothing against no one in Newark. So that wasn't for me to just say, oh, I want to sue. Right. Anybody can sue. Mm-hmm. I want to make a change. I want them to change their way of thinking towards females in that fire service. And that's from the firefighters to the inspectors.
So do you believe that these other women who are in the fire department are experiencing some of what you experience?
Oh, yeah. They're probably not going to, because see, no one has as many years on as I have.
Right.
So, listen.
They're going to stay silent.
You got to feed your families. And I get that. I get that to my sisters out there. I get that to them. I know they have to feed their families. And I know that they're not going to say anything right now because...
Well, they're looking at you.
They can't.
And they're looking at how you're being treated. They're looking at how you didn't get the support from the union. They're looking at how you're not getting the support from leadership. They're looking at how you're not getting, the support and how you've been dragged through all of this. And quite frankly, if that were me, I'd say I don't want that. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna endure all of this.
Keep my head down.
And keep my head down and just suck it up. Right, which is no way for anybody to have to live. So, look, I'm going to give the call-in number, and I got a couple more questions.
Okay.
Call-in number is 973-672-1271. Again, 973-672-1271 or 973-677-3753. If you're listening through a mobile device, 213-992-4397. The culture. Sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, all those things. There were allegations a while ago, I don't remember how long ago it was, of actual rape.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
In
one of the firehouses.
In one of the firehouses.
That's correct.
What were those allegations?
The allegations were that this company picked up a female from Prudential Center or somewhere downtown, put on the apparatus, took her back to the firehouse, was drinking with her, then took her upstairs, had sexual intercourse with her, and she said that they raped her. Now, I don't know about if they raped her, but
call the police on.
But
something happened.
Something happened. I don't know what happened, but something happened.
And when you say apparatus, what's the apparatus? Is that the fire truck?
That's the fire truck.
So, three firemen.
I don't know if it was, I guess it was about 3.
But this was in the news.
And
it was in the news. I read it in the paper. However many firemen, firemen, on a fire truck, so that means they're in uniform, pick up some random woman, bring her in a fire truck, which I know by insurance reasons they shouldn't be doing that, and then bring her back to the firehouse and engage in whatever it is that they engage in, partying, whatever. Were they fired?
No, they weren't fired. No, they're still there, and my understanding, one of them is up for promotion right now.
You got to be kidding me.
So this made the news. You had a woman,
but it didn't really make it. It made the news. They did a little story on it, but they didn't hammer them like me. They didn't put their name. Their name wasn't in the paper.
Did they have an internal
investigation? Their face wasn't in the paper. What they made, where they live, none of that was in the paper. So you don't know who these individuals are, but everyone knows who I am.
And was the union supportive of them?
Oh yes.
In this effort?
Oh yes. The union had. They said they had nothing, no comment. But with me, they said innocent until proven guilty. However, if she's guilty, let the chips fall where they lie. Now this is my union that I pay union dues to.
Wow.
Let's take this call. Hello, caller.
Hey, greetings, everyone. This is Manera Bomani. I just wanted to say that I feel for her. And I kind of like remember the case when I read it in a newspaper, but I thought she was past what happened and what I read in the newspaper. Most women who are, which I'm also in a male-dominated career, which is construction and truck driving, and a lot of women face similar issues that she's addressing today. But I just wanted to ask a question whether or not she contact the Office of Civil Rights and also the Office of the Economic Commission, Economic Equality Commission here in Newark. And also I wanted to ask her, have she reached out yet, being that this Time's Up group came up and they now is about $20 million, and they have a team of lawyers with the National Women's Law Center. You probably need to go check them out and probably bring your case before them, because they just established this component after the Time's Up to address issues like this that women have been facing in terms of sexual harassment and other things of this nature. So if you haven't, gotten in contact with the National Women's Law Center to address this issue, I suggest that you try to reach out to them to see if you can get help. And also bring this case back before the city council. And I say this because we have individuals who are running again for office.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And we have women who are probably the highest level of women who are now running for positions. And I think you need to bring this back up to the city council and also put on notice and notify the women who are running for office about this issue, and let's garner up some kind of support to back you, because this is horrible.
Well, thanks for the call.
Horrible.
Thank you.
So, a couple things. Somebody sent me a text, and they said, I guess you have some of your firemen listening to the show, and they said, it says, some of the firemen have called and asked Latina BYRD to explain clearly a house fund, says she's not explaining it properly.
I'm not explaining it properly.
Hello, caller, please hold. But you did explain.
I did explain it. I don't understand what they mean about explain it properly, because a house fund, each member gives a certain amount of money, like $20 per month, towards the water. I mean, to buy water, tea, coffee, juice, things like that. And we also supply our own cable. I said that before. Right.
So these are just items that are not prepaid or supplied by the city.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like a slush fund for the house.
Right.
Cookies,
so when we see firefighters
like
go out to get donuts, or we see them going to get pizza, they're pulling that money from the house fund to take care of some of those expenses.
No, it's just one person in that. Okay, when you see them out shopping like that, they're probably going to get the dinner or something like that for the night. Now, the house fund is something different. Okay. The house fund, each member is supposed to give like maybe $20 a month, and other like say for instance, you want ketchup, so you always want ketchup in the house. Right. You always want hot sauce. You always want honey, cookies, lime, chips, little things like that. Like water, tea, coffee. When you come in the morning, you want to make coffee, things like that. So you want to have those types of toiletries on hand all the time. Got it. So that's what the house fund is basically used for. Got it. Okay. Now, I don't know no house fund that ever had $2,000 in it right now. And even now, they probably don't have nothing in it. So I don't know what you mean about explaining, but I explained it, the best way.
Let's take this call.
I know how.
Hello, caller.
Yes, good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
I just want to say to the lady that I'm proud of you, and I'm also saying that I know it gets tired feeling alone in a fight, but you have it seems like you have a beautiful family support. I didn't have a beautiful family support in my fight against Montclair State, but I refused to sue, and only because I just wanted to make it better for the workers. So anybody that's listening saying anything negative about the radio station, tell me now how important is this radio station and this show. So my hats off to you, and don't stop fighting. I know it hurts, but if you're gonna go this far, go all the way. Go to the finish line, because people think they got power, and it's only powder, baby powder at that. That's what it's so crazy. It's really baby powder, but you just keep up the fight, sister. Your story is coming across the air very strong, and if your eyes not open, slit them.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
So, listen, let's take this call. Hello, caller.
Hi, this is Greta.
I'm going to ask you to turn your radio down. Hello?
How are you?
And callers, when you call, please make sure you're... Okay.
I'm trying to do that.
All right. Okay. But callers, when you call, please make sure your radio is down and that you're not talking on speakerphone. I still hear your radio. I'm going to call back when you have it down. Thank you. You got to turn your radios down, right? And you got to be off a speakerphone and then call back. Thank you.
Just so everybody knows, our guest is Latina BYRD from the Newark Fire Department, because people that are just tuning in don't know. Okay. And I'm just going to put it in the feed so they understand.
Jeez. I think that, the caller, I want the caller to call back. But just make sure that the thing is down. I think that the show is an important show.
I think so.
I think that, people need to hear these stories. Yes. I was saying to Diane before the show started that these conversations, though they're uncomfortable, need to be had in our community. And there are folks in our community who don't have the resources to have their voices elevate to a level of importance in our community. Right. And because they don't get elevated to a level of importance, folks just sweep it all under the rug. And then we suffer. But here's what I would say again to all of the listeners and to the viewers. You have to get involved. We say, well, where's the leadership? but this is the leadership that you all elected.
Right.
So we can't just point our fingers at the leadership. We have to point our fingers at ourselves and say, these are the cowards that we elected to sit there. And now we're watching them do nothing. Right. And as the caller said before, caller, I'm going to ask you to hold 1 second. And as the caller said before, as Munira said, now is the best time ever because it is election cycle.
Yes.
And we should be asking, guys, everybody who knocks on our door or litters our mailbox with mailers and flyers, what do you think about Latina Bird? What do you think about what's going on with her? You don't need to be an elected official to stand on the steps of City Hall and to go to a council meeting on the behalf of Latina Bird. We don't have to wait until May 8th to see what you're going to do. You can go at the next council meeting and show your leadership character. And if they're not prepared to do that, you have to ask, why would you vote for them? If we understand that we've got other women who are not only in the fire department, but who may be in the police department and who are employed in other agencies within our city that are scared, and we have complete silence, and you all will go to elect, and in some cases re-elect, cowards who won't stand up for us. Hello, caller?
Hey, this is Brenda Robinson. How are you today?
Hey, Brenda, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm just so confused about this story. My question to her is, how do they take you to court for a slush fund that is the firemen's money that is not counted into the county or the city?
Good question.
I don't know.
How do they do that? First of all, that's against the law there. I mean, why would the city pay for them to take you to court or the county on something that's not even theirs?
Right.
How do you keep account of that?
Well, it's a great question. If anybody has an answer to that question, please call in and let us know. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
I think that's a terrific question, right?
Yes,
and
it is.
And you know, I'd like somebody to call in and answer that if you can. But we have issues. When we have firefighters who've been accused of rape, we had somebody come forward, a young lady who said that they put her on the apparatus, brought her into the and sexually assaulted her.
Yes.
And we don't have the same top brass ready to pursue that, right? They're not pursuing that with the same vigor. Please hold, caller, as they did with you. Let's answer that question. And again, right now, and I know that people want to cloud my questions of accountability because their belief is that I just want to hammer away at this administration. But at some point, the buck has to stop somewhere.
Right.
And so when we're looking at this, I go, well, okay, if we take it all the way to the top, where is it? Where does that responsibility or accountability lie? And it's got to lie in the mayor's office. And so the question has to be asked, well, you got him running for re-election, right? He's saying, when I become mayor, you become mayor.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the mayor? It's an honest and fair question. Do you feel empowered?
No, I feel like that nobody really cares about me. I feel very much alone in this fight, and I feel like I have no advocates except for the little team of other guys that stood by me and has always stood by me. Other than that, I have no confidence even in the entire echelons of the fire service. I have no confidence in them at all. They've yet to call me and ask me how I feel, what it is that I want, or how can they be of service to me. They do that for the men. They do that for them. They rally behind them. Anything that happens, we've had people on drugs, drinking in the firehouse. things of that nature, fights, all kinds of things, right? Guess what they do? They gather around them, you know, and they create a support system for them. Oh, we're not going to let this brother lose their job. We're not. Well, what happened to?
Well, that's interesting, right? Because there is a brotherhood.
Oh yes, right. Oh, most definitely. So you have to understand something, and I tried to explain this to my children because their thing was, Mom, just leave. We don't want you there. They don't want you there. Just leave. We're afraid for you. And I said to them, I said, it's not easy becoming the first or second of anything.
That's right.
In history, there's always been a fight with a person that's the first or second of anything. The first one, she left, now I'm the first. You might as well say, because it was never a conglomerate of us there at one time.
Right.
It was she came, she left, then I came. And so you have to understand the mindset of these individuals. And sexism trumps racism any day. They may not like each other, but when there's a female in the room, they're going to band together against that female.
Wow. That's true.
Let's take this call. Hello, caller. Thanks for holding.
Hello, how you doing? I'm a Vulcan firefighter, and I was asking a question for Latina to be clear to you and the people about this house fund. Because most people may not be clear. We know, but the public may not be clear. And like she said, she's the third female, I believe, on the fire department. And that may be part of the hostility towards her. But also the house fund, that all the allegations against her, she went to court, she won her case. She should be exempt, but they keep finding one excuse after another. And other people, like she said, have been through many things and never even got punished. So...
Now, I'm saying you said you're calling from where?
Fund where the members pull their own resources together to get extra things they want since we're there so long.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So this is what that money's about. And how did the fire department hold her liable for something that's their own resources?
Right.
They should have never been involved. The police should have never been involved. And if it was, it should have been brought by a member's complaint and not the department as a complainant, because they have nothing to do with it.
So you said you called from Vulcan? Is that what you said?
What was the question again?
What organization are you calling from?
I'm with the Vulcans. I'm with Tina, the Black Firefighters.
Yeah, well, he's a Vulcan. We're called the Vulcan Pioneers. With the
explain to the listeners who don't understand.
The Vulcan Pioneers are the Professional Black Firefighters Association in the city of Newark, and we're a part of the IABPFF, International Association of Black Professional Firefighters across the country. Okay. So he's one of my brothers. I know very well who he is, and thanks for calling in, bro. I hear you.
Thanks for the call, man. So, okay, so there is some support somewhere.
Yes, that's one of my brothers. Yes, that's one of my support.
Caller, please hold.
So my quick question is, and I understand where your kids are coming from. Do you feel as though that your life may be in danger if you go back to work with these gentlemen? I mean, honestly.
Yes.
I mean, if they're willing to come out and have charges against you for $2,000, do you think that you might be in a situation that they could, I don't know, tamper with your equipment when you go into a fire, or not assist, or decline, or not to hear your call for help? Because you really need to be thinking about that and concerned about that moving forward too, when you make your decision. And I'm not trying to say you shouldn't go back. I think you should fight for your job, fight for your position, and do what you need to do. But you got to take care of your kids, and you can't take care of your kids if you're not here.
And you're right. The hate is so vivid against me, and you're right. But we're talking about my career. It's just, it's hard to give up something that you worked hard for. There were a core of females training with me to get this job, and I'm the only one that got it. And we stuck together those days. I remember, we had babies. Our kids were small. They were babies. They were infants. We would get off from one job, pick the kids up from school, and then we would go to the training center, and we would train, and then we would jog, and we was on diets, and we worked so hard, and I'm the only one that got the job. And I just feel like I owe that to them too, you know, because they wanted the job too. But when I got the job back in those days, they really wasn't hiring females.
Right.
You know, I got the job because I'm a veteran. You know, and veterans get hired first. Right. You know, so I was in that veteran pool, and they had to hire me. But there were other females that was good too, and they were overlooked. You know, this is the mindset of the fire service. This is the mindset of the civil service in the fire service, and this mindset has to be changed, because even the men do not fight fires by themselves.
Right.
You know.
Let's take this call. Hello, caller. Thanks for holding.
Hello?
Yeah, you are?
Hi, good afternoon. Good morning, I'm sorry. This is John Coombs, former president of the Vulcan Society in New York City. How y'all doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Okay, I have, Latina is our sister in the fire service, and it's unfortunate that we're at this place. My challenge is can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, my challenge is with the administration, NEWARK administration, just the idea that we have a safety director, Mr. Ambrose, going down this path and no one saying anything. The challenge Mr. Ambrose have is, how is he allowed to violate laws, policies, and the like, and to continue uninterrupted? The mayor's office heard about this story for some time. So I find it quite challenging for the mayor to continue with allowing someone like Ambrose. And my last, if anything, I'm saying to the mayor's office is simply this: you were elected. Ambrose was appointed. I wouldn't allow an appointee to undermine the well-being of the residents and firefighters like Latina BYRD.
Well, then how do we, I mean, what I do, sir, is I always say that once we recognize that there is an issue, and we realize that there's a reluctance in leadership to address the issue, that we have to then take the bull by the horns, and we have to drive the narrative and drive the issue. So, I mean, how are you guys, I mean, Latina said that, you guys are, have banded around her, shown her a tremendous amount of support. But how do we collectively, and one of the reasons I wanted to have her on was so that this audience who tunes into this show could be aware. But how do we now take this from here and create actionable steps to bring about change, not only for Latina, but for these other women who are working under this horrendous culture, and to hold leadership, including the mayor, accountable, so that we don't have to have this conversation again? How do we do that? Did we lose him?
John.
I think we did.
Probably lost him.
Okay. So I'd like to know how we do that, because that's where we have to get to, right? We can continue to have the conversation. People can post their comments, oh, this is horrible, this is whatever. But if next year we're having the same conversation, then we've accomplished nothing.
Right, we didn't get anywhere. Right.
Right? The idea is to recognize that this exists, be honest about it, and then be committed to change.
Yes, exactly. That's probably him again.
Oh. Hello, caller?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I got cut off.
Oh, I'm not sure what happened, but thank you for calling back. So how do we affect change is the question.
Okay. First and foremost, two things. You don't get anything without a demand. The first demand is that we hold Newark Fire Department and the city of Newark accountable for their policies and their practice. If that means protest, if that means rallying, physically going to City Hall, around City Hall, asking all the community of Newark, we're asking for support right now, because this sister right here is any one of our sisters. This has been brought to my attention over a month ago, and I will do everything I can to be supportive of it. And that simply means we'll show up. We'll let the mayor know we'll be at his doorstep. This is, if that's what it takes, so be it. And don't, look, hashtag Me Too is real. Yeah. Our sister is being harassed sexually. She's being harassed verbally. She's been harassed on social media. There is no way that Newark Fire Department and the mayor's office isn't aware of that now. This has been ongoing and pervasive. It's unfortunate, yet it has to be addressed. First and foremost, we need to begin protests on the mayor and the Newark Fire Safety Director, Ambrose. We need to protest those two, first and foremost. Secondly, here's a woman who's been working, who has all anyone would ask in terms of education, experience, and the like, and all of that is being ignored for an attempt to re-prosecute her. You probably heard already, Latina has been exonerated for those charges. Why is it now the same charges are being allowed to be revisited? Because it's an axe to grind. And you're right, we have to do something. So the community of Newark, I am pleading with you today. Can we reach out to the Vulcan Pioneers, and the Vulcan Pioneers have your support?
All right. So the ball is in our court, people, right? If we want our community to change, we want a different culture here. We want our women to be respected and treated fairly. We can't not get engaged and expect those who have been mistreating us for decades to change. We have to get involved. And brother, anything that I can do, I'd be willing to do. I don't know if you're on social media, but I can give you. Do I have my other number?
I can give you his number.
You can give me his number? All right, so Latina's going to give me your number. We're going to be in touch. And what I'm going to do is we're going to make sure that we're spending a segment of this show every day driving this conversation and challenging the community to become engaged. We will know. See, my thing is this. I want to get the calendar of council meetings. Okay. And we should be able to fill those seats in those council meetings, right? Every council meeting. Yes. And we should be able to apply pressure. Again, this is if you never got engaged before, you got to get engaged now.
That's right.
Because this is when these guys and women, quite frankly, are telling you that they want your vote. And so you have the leverage.
That's right.
Right? To say, well, okay, what are we trading? What are we trading for my vote? What are you willing to give me? Here's what I want. I want to know where you stand on this issue with Latina BYRD.
Right.
Right? I want to know where you stand on this issue with women who are trading sex, having to trade sex for jobs, being violated every day, being abused every day. Where do you stand on that? We're ready to get on buses and go to Morristown. Yeah. We got on buses and went to Trenton to talk about President Trump. Right. But we're not willing to come into our own council chamber and challenge the local officials who we elect. What are we doing? So now it's time for us, Newark, to roll our sleeves up and get to work. So, brother, Latina's going to give me your number. We're going to be in touch, and we're going to use this platform to continue to discuss this thing. Thanks for calling.
Absolutely. And the other thing is not only getting out there to protest and to march and all these other things, there's other ways for other people to engage and to be involved and let people know that they're supporting you. You could do letter writing campaigns. So you have your seniors write letters to the council people and flood their emails. Okay. I mean, you there's a lot of things, and start blowing their phones up, their cell phones and their office phones, and let them know, we demand you to speak out about this. We demand you to bring positive change, because, of course, if I'm speaking out about it, there's other people in the same situation, like you said before, that are scared to speak, because they see how you're being treated.
Yes. Right. And I'm going to ask you, have you done this? Have you reached out to the clergy?
No.
Okay. No. I'm going to ask you to do this. The brother on the phone, you guys draft a letter. Deliver deliver that letter, certified mail, return receipt requested, so that you know that they got it.
Okay.
To all of these pastors who sell their pulpit during election time. And you let them know what's going on with you, and you ask them where they stand.
Okay.
Because I want to know. See, it's time for us. You have to choose sides.
Right.
There's no being in the middle.
Can't be on the fence anymore.
There's no being on the fence.
Right.
Either they're with you or they're not.
Right.
And now once they identify where they stand, then the electorate has to make a choice about what kind of community they want to live in, what kind of leadership they want. But we have to be really clear, right? And we can't let people walk these fine, blurry lines of ambiguity. Right? I'm not going to talk about this right now. I don't want to talk. No, you're going to see, because if you don't talk about it, then you're complicit.
Right.
If you don't talk about it, it continues to happen.
Right. And so you, by your silence, are complicit with the behavior. And that's where we have to put them as a community. And then we have to decide whether we want that or not. Right? Senator Booker, Congressman Donald Payne, Senator Ron Rice, Bonnie Watson Coleman, Cleo Tucker.
That's right.
All of them. They say they want to be leaders. Where do you stand? See, you're clear when it comes to contracts, jobs for people, your family members, those kinds of things. You're good at going to the governor's ball, right? All those things. But these are the issues that impact the folks who are in the very bowels of our community that they're fighting for. And nobody really wants to ever address those, which is why, again, I think that this platform is so important, because it you know, Al Montgomery said something to me one day, and I don't know that this is the correct term, but I understood his sentiment. He said, Eric, you know what this show does? It takes ordinary people and it makes them stars in our community. It gives them the platform to be bigger than they were. Right? And so I love that. And so you guys who are listening, share this episode 1. Right?
Absolutely.
You gotta tell people about it too.
Spread the word.
You gotta join these folks who are with Latina BYRD.
Provide support.
You gotta provide support. Put your arms around her, right? And then you have to act. You gotta call your council people. You gotta call the mayor's office. You gotta call these other folks. And then you have to listen. If 100 of you showed up at a council meeting, it would change the entire landscape.
He's going to really start putting people out with the police.
Overnight. If you showed up, it would change the entire landscape. If 100 people showed up at the next council meeting. So it's time to put our money where our mouth is.
Absolutely.
So I remember, Pastor, when you were on the show before, and I was asking you, about financial support for Latina. I don't remember if you said that there was a GoFundMe page that had been set up. I know you said that some of the Vulcan and some other folks have been helpful in contributing to help manage some of your expenses as you're going through this unpaid leave. Is there a GoFundMe page or somewhere where people, if they are listening and want to?
Yes, we have a GoFundMe page.
You have what is the GoFundMe page? Do you know?
How do we find it?
How do we find it? Because I want to put it in a link.
It's GoFundMe.
Put it in
What is it?
GoFundMe.
I know it's under my name. I don't know how to
we got to find that.
All right.
It's GoFundMe, Bernadine BYRD, something like that. I don't know.
I'm finding it right now.
We got to find it. We got to put it in here, and hopefully, people will, will contribute, right? But this is where we have to take ownership of our community. We always talk about that, right? What our role is in our community. What we're willing to invest in terms of time and resources to have the community that we say we want. We have to be the change. I'm not sure if we covered everything. I know that there was some comments in the thread, and some of the comments were still around this fund. What's the fund called again?
House fund.
The house fund.
It's called a house fund.
Who is in charge of the house fund? Did I miss that? Maybe that question was answered.
It's always one person. Most people don't want to do it. I didn't even want to do it. The person that I took it over from, I wasn't supposed to have it. It was my captain that was supposed to have it. and me and him was going to do it together because I was reluctant about doing it because I have so many other things to do. But then he retired, so it left me to do it alone by myself. He was going to collect the money, and I was just going, when I go to the groceries for my own kids, I was going to get their groceries too.
Right.
But then he retired like maybe 3 or 4 months into me having the house fund, and that's what happened. But it's always one person, and no one likes to do it because it's a thankless job. You know, you take your car, your own personal vehicle, and you go and see what the house needs, and you supply it, and then everyone don't pay every month. There are some people that probably still owe house funds. Some people, they'll use the catch-up. No, they haven't put the $20 in towards the catch-up, but they'll use it anyway. So I'm telling you, this is the mindset of some individuals in there, you know. So everybody don't pay, and everybody knows that everyone don't pay. So when they came to me with, I took some money, I was like, okay, listen, I may have not probably kept good records like I should have. So I even wrote him a check. I said, here, take this check and pay what you want to pay with it. Because I wasn't, I just didn't understand it. And I thought it was over. Till the prosecutors came knocking at my door telling me I have been indicted on a theft, on 3rd-degree theft and a 4th-degree hindering charge. Hindering. They say I hindered an investigation because they asked me for some paperwork and I never turned it over, which was a lie. And I've never been in trouble a day in my life. So I didn't know anything about the judicial system. I didn't know anything about prosecutors, how they work, this type of thing. I went to court over 30 times. And every time I went to court, they gave me a new court date. Like it was a nightmare. It was
financially drain you.
And it did. It did what it was set out to do. It did it. It did.
But you were exonerated.
I was exonerated. And I'm still paying my lawyer. I'm still paying him. Thank God for him, because he took my case, and with little money. Thank God for Mark Chesser, but he even with me being up for a promotion, I was told just take the plea. See, this is what happens to.
That's the mentality.
The mentality of even other people that don't know the judicial system. They'll tell you to take a plea for something that you did not do. I took a plea for something that I did not do because I'm up for a promotion and I just want to get it over with because I want to get promoted. Well, guess what? I took a plea and the prosecutor was over there talking about, oh, we're going to take our job.
So they cutting deals on the side.
Oh, yeah, they was cutting deals. And I looked at the lawyer that I had at the present time. I said, wait a minute, that's not what we discussed. What you mean? You told me to take a plea and it was going to be over with. You might, that's it. You get promoted, going with your career. You didn't tell me anything about that they was going to take my job, but they was going to take my job. So now I fired that lawyer, went and got me another lawyer, and that particular lawyer said, honey, they was going to take your job. So he filed a motion to have the plea that I pled guilty to revoked. So they revoked, the judge revoked that plea, threw it out. Then we took the case, went to court, had a trial, and that's when I was acquitted.
Not guilty. Wow.
Not guilty. So now had I taken that plea, I would be definitely fired today. So now that wasn't good enough for them. Then they came back and put me on departmental charges for the same exact thing.
Wow.
So that's where we are now.
That's a setup.
It is a setup.
Yo, that's a setup.
So basically they setting you up because whatever it is that whatever it is that's going on with these sexual harassment charges or allegations that you have that you haven't released or gone after them yet, they trying to set you up.
Yeah.
Because they know
yes.
the hammer's coming.
Oh yes.
The hammer's definitely coming.
Yes.
I posted inside of the feed your GoFundMe page so everybody can go there and help her out. Is help for firefighter Latina BYRD. But like I said, it's in the feed and you should see it. Please share it on Facebook.
Well, one of the things that I'm sorry.
Remember I talked to the director.
You talked
to Ambrose.
Right.
Remember?
Well,
yeah. So what happened? You said you spoke to who? Right into the mic. I'm sorry.
I spoke to the director.
Ambrose?
Ambrose.
Okay.
And there was
well, for the people who don't know who you are, tell them who you are.
I'm Latina's mother, Pastor Bernadine BYRD.
There we go.
And
welcome.
Thank you. And I personally spoke to the director. What's his name? Ambrose.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna say that, but anyway. And there was a black female sitting there with him. I can't recall her name.
Mm-hmm.
And he had the audacity to look me in my face and tell me that my daughter was not fit. And I said, to be a firefighter. And I said, she is qualified to be an instructor. He said, she's not fit to be a firefighter. Every time I attempted to mention some of her accomplishments, other than the fire, actually fighting the fire, he came back and said she's not fit to be a firefighter. And so evidently, he didn't, I guess he thought I was ignorant. But I could see I could tell the disdain and the mean spirit that came at him, because personally, you know, I would be a little more sensitive than to say something that harsh to a person about their child. I would. And so then he said, I have papers from when she was in the military. Now I know that if you have evidence from her against the military, I know that you cannot hold that against her because you hired her.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. So I want to go back.
You're working backwards.
Yeah, you're working backwards now. But so if you got whatever you have from the military, this woman has already worked 17 years as a firefighter.
But they didn't know. Then he said she's been unfit since 2009.
Tons of accomplishments and accreditation.
Absolutely, but he did. Every time I tried to mention one of them, he would cut me off and say, "But she's not fit to be a firefighter."
Did he go into explanation as to what that actually meant? What his definition of unfit was?
He said she has PTSD. And it's been documented since 2009 and in the military, and she should have been fired in 2009. And she got administrative charges that's going to be brought up against her. And I said, but she was exonerated for the thief charge. So then he went on to explain to me, well, you know, when you get exonerated, what people don't understand, he said, is that when you go to have a criminal charge, if you're cleared from the criminal charge, that does not mean that the job cannot have administrative charges against you. So I already know these things because I used to work civil service, and I just was quiet. And I said, well, she has sexual harassment. There's no sexual harassment. So he called someone on the phone and he asked them, what about the sexual harassment stuff? Did y'all get into that? And so whoever I didn't hear the conversation, but he came back. He said, well, see, in order for you to have a sexual harassment charge, you got to have proof. She don't have no kind of proof, and she never did. They told her to come. She never did want to tell them what kind of proof she had. So there's no sexual harassment charges. She just need to. I'm just trying to help her. She need to retire. And I said, well, we're just gonna retire her. And I said, oh, there's nothing else that she can do for the fire department except be retired. That's right. And if she doesn't retire, we're gonna fire her. He said she should have been fired. But the mayor said, and I'm quoting, that's what he said. He said, the mayor told me not to fire her, so that's why she ain't fired. That's what he said. So now she got to retire. If she don't retire, she will be fired. I'm not going to hold this off forever.
So wait a minute. So the mayor did give Ambrose some instruction.
That's what he told me.
And so the mayor, I'm assuming, evaluated something. And based on whatever the mayor evaluated, determined that she shouldn't be fired, but she should be offered retirement.
He just told me the mayor said don't fire her. He didn't say the mayor said retire her now. I got to stick by the point.
No, I'm trying to get it.
I spoke to this mayor since I spoke to you last, and I told him, I said, you know, Mayor, I don't want to get into these situations, you know, with the election. I don't want it to seem like I'm politically attacking anyone, but I'm concerned about my daughter. And we were at the Clergy Affairs graduation, Citizen Patrol graduation in December. And so he said, well, November when it was, he said, but he's right there, go talk to him. And he said, okay, I understand. And that's when he told me to come and see him. I would just see him. So he told me, the mayor said don't fire her. and she's going to be retired. And I said, you guys didn't even think enough of her to clear her name, and you have the people thinking that she's a thief, and my children don't steal. I said, that's a bad stigmatization to carry. He said, well, it was. I said, no, it did not. I said, it was not printed in the paper. Nobody would write about it. He said, well, it was online. I said, they said.
Now, the he we're talking about is the mayor.
No. Ambrose was talking about that was clear. Her name was clear. And I said, no, it wasn't. And he says, well, I went by the facts. I said, but your facts were incorrect, sir, because you are the one that prosecuted her. And she was found innocent from the charge you put up. That's when he said, well, I'll tell you what I do. When she retired, I'll make a statement that she retired and that, she was cleared and everything, and that I'll clear her name. I'll personally write that myself. And that's when I ended it. I said, thank you. And I'm thinking, what? Sometimes people just think that you're just ignorant because you're black.
So, and I would love to have Ambrose on. He probably won't come. But they all watch the show.
And they listen.
And they listen.
And they talking about
it. And they talking about it right now. I know that they're watching it right now. And
see, somebody just posted up.
What?
They posted the article.
Right. Yeah. So the article's there. So thank you for posting it. I would love to have, because if we're talking transparency, right, and if we're talking fairness, and we're talking honesty, then there should be no issue with Ambrose coming on and talking about him making decisions that are best for the fire department, as opposed to making decisions that are directly meant to attack and discredit Latina BYRD. He should be able to come on and talk about specifically why she's unfit.
Why she's unfit, yes.
Right? And which is the question we want, right?
Yes,
so
right.
Answer the question.
Yeah.
So if the idea is that you're unfit, Ambrose should be able, because we're talking about affecting your livelihood.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Your livelihood. And for a man to be so cowardice as not to be able to come in the open. And also, and this is my thing, and it's not, I've got my other concerns about the administration, but I'm going to try to narrow it to just this. And I want people to understand and not conflate. If the mayor knows about this and knows that your livelihood is at risk, he should be demanding that Ambrose be absolutely clear about why he believes you're not fit. And if the mayor has not demanded from Ambrose a very clear explanation to your unfitness, then I think leadership has to take over and says, well, you can't do this. You're not going to do it. Not going to allow you to ruin this woman's livelihood over whatever personal issues you have. Because then you have to conclude that they're personal. If you can't have the director that you appointed, if you don't have the cojones as the chief executive officer to demand that the guy that you appointed come forward and say, here is exactly why, Mr. Mayor, I believe that Latina BYRD is not fit.
Right.
Right? So that we can all see it.
Right.
Because we're talking about your livelihood. You got the person who's marching down to get jobs at the port. Meanwhile, you got people trying to take your job.
Right.
Let's save your job.
Right. But see,
we're going down to march for jobs that we're not getting, but your job they want to take, and nobody's marching to save your job.
Okay, but see, let me give some light to that, Eric. The reason why he's stating to my mom that I'm unfit because they gave me a psychological exam. Now, mind you, I'm out for stress, right? And you give me a psychological exam, and you expect for me to pass it. So now when I don't pass it, right, then you want to use that against me to say that I'm unfit for the job. Now, okay, now that would be just like a person that's out with a knee injury, and you tell them to take a physical training performance test, and they fail the 2-mile run. But you knew they was out for a knee injury, but yet and still you gonna tell them to take the test anyway. So why would you give me a test, psychological exam, when you know I'm already out for stress?
So the idea is, and you know what this makes me think of? The former corporation counsel, Willie Parker, right? Who is now in the process of suing the city because of the stress of being harassed, and he ultimately suffered 2 heart attacks, right? So they harass you,
right?
They drag you through 5 years of allegations. Nigga this, nigga that, coon this, monkey this, ape that.
Yes.
Nobody's in support of you.
No, yes.
They're beating you down, and then they say, in the middle of us beating you down, we want you to take a stress test.
Right.
Because it's a setup.
It's a setup.
Because they just setting it up so they can document on their end.
Right.
See, I told you. She wasn't fit.
And they say I failed the stress test twice. Well, let me elaborate on this. The first stress test that I took back in 2009, right? They gave me a what they call upper body strength exam. They took me outside on the training fire ground, had me do a simulation of tests like hold the ladder up, go up the ladder, come down the ladder with the saw, things of that nature. They never gave a male before, but they call themselves testing my upper body strength.
Wow.
Right? They never did that to a male before, but they did that to me. Right? So then they quote unquote said, quote unquote, that I failed it. So I filed it with a grievance. Fought the grievance and won. Let's tell the story how it really is, okay? While I'm out for that, then they give me a stress test again. I failed that stress test. But when I got ready to come back to work, I passed that same test and came back to work. So now that's where we are right now. So don't keep saying that I failed 2 stress tests, Mr. Ambrose, okay? Because you don't know the story, number one, because you were not there, okay? So don't keep telling people that I'm unfit. Why don't y'all really hear my story before you just claim that I'm unfit? Right. Who gives somebody who? And then not only that, the story is so deep. We can go on for hours, because even with that, they sent me back to the fire academy, sent me back to the training academy, and guess what? If you look in here, I graduated again with honors.
What do you mean they sent you back to the academy?
They sent me back to the fire academy again. They said, quote unquote, I had never, prior to that, they quote unquote said, after they gave me that test and I fought the grievance and won, they said, okay, well, since we wasn't training her, because this all came about, I wanted to drive the apparatus and be trained with the apparatus, and I was under the direction of a male that was known to be a racist. Okay, he did not want to train me. He did not want me to drive the apparatus. So this is where all this came up. Oh, now we're gonna give her a test. So they give me the test, right? I filed the grievance and everything on the test, and I won the grievance. So then they said, okay, we're gonna send her back to the fire academy. So I go back to the fire academy in Bergen County and graduated again with honors.
So quickly, the fire academy is what you go through initially.
Yes.
That you try to get hired. You have to pass the fire academy, the fireman academy, to get into the department.
Yes.
So you're already in 10 years in, and then they say, "Oh, I'm going to send you back again."
Exactly. I went back again.
That's a spike.
Here you go. It's documented. It's right here.
That's what I'm saying. Hello, caller.
Yeah, this is Manera again. I wanted to know, because I thought I heard the mother, good afternoon, Miss Bird. I thought I heard her say that Ambrose was the one who prosecuted this case, or did you say that?
No. What's your question?
No.
Or you just wanted clarification on Ambrose's role in this?
If Ambrose is the one who prosecuted this case, I would think this is because he acting as the judge, jury, and the execution.
Well, I don't know the Empress is...
Wait. I'll clarify that.
Right.
He didn't prosecute my case, but he was the head of the one of the head prosecutors over there, like the head of the prosecutor's office at the time in Essex County. Yeah, when my case was under the judicial system. And then after that, he became my director. He became the director of the public safety administrator of the fire and the police department. So that made him my boss. After he has prosecuted me in the judicial system. So yeah.
So wouldn't that be a conflict of interest?
Well, I would call it that.
He's involved with your case, period.
I would call it that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so that seems very interesting. Well, you know what, Manira, you just brought something up very interesting. Well, so let's. I'm gonna try to unpack this in my own brain. So you had a guy who was prosecuting the case,
right? So
as the as a person who was overseeing the prosecutors prosecuting it, right? You were focused on winning, right? So now you become the director of public safety,
yes,
and he becomes your boss now,
yes.
He can't defend you because he's already determined before that you should be prosecuted.
Right.
So him now in this position, he can't have a neutral stand.
Right.
He can't. If he were to now come back and say, if he were now to come back as your boss and evaluate you objectively and say, you know, Latina, after looking at all the paperwork that you gave and your mother brought by and read it all, you know, I think that you're fit. He can't do it because he's already
documented.
He's already documented. He's already on record saying
that. The opposite.
Yeah. So he's now got to fulfill this prophecy that he started when he was overseeing the prosecutors prosecuting your case.
Because otherwise what happens is then they'll start unraveling and say, well, if this was wrong and you looked at it this way, well, maybe there's other cases that you might have prosecuted that they need to go back and reevaluate as well.
Right.
And he explained to me precisely what you said. He said, he took the time and explained to me, listen, he said,
we already did this. We just need to finish it.
He said, when someone is brought up on charges, criminal charges, and they are cleared from those criminal charges, that does not exonerate them from administrative charges.
Right.
That's what you just said.
Right.
So yes, you cannot objectively look at the case.
He basically told you what he was about to do.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get you over there in criminal court.
Right.
But now I'm your boss here.
Right.
And I'm going to do it here.
Right. So somebody asked your name again. Latina BYRD is her name, guys. And the GoFundMe link
is in the feed. I'm going to drop it again.
Diane's going to drop it again for you guys. But I'll tell you.
She's currently, just so you know, she's currently been out of work how long?
A year now.
A year now, unpaid leave. So that's why there's a GoFundMe account. She has kids. She has rent like everybody else, trying to get by.
And so, I'm going to go back through this feed. I don't always get a chance to go back through all the feeds of the shows, but I'm going to go back through this one because we do need to organize around this. And what I would love to see, I think that men in the community should certainly stand up, and I'm willing to be a part of that group of men that stand up and stand beside you, Latina. But I would love to see women in our community, hashtag me too. Hashtag time's up.
No, hashtag I'm free.
And hashtag I'm free.
That's
hashtag
my
no
saying.
more.
Hashtag
we're done.
Yes.
We're finished.
Yes.
No more.
Enough.
And if not now, when? When will you stand up? Nobody else is standing up for you. You have to be willing to stand up for yourselves. We're going to use, like I said, we're going to use this platform to continue to talk about it. We have to continue to talk about it. We've got 3 months in this election cycle. And I'm telling you, there's no better time than these 3 months to really hammer home issues.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Not personalities, guys. Issues. So if this is important to us, it becomes an issue in the community.
Yes.
And we want to know who's addressing it. No more coffee clatches with these elected officials coming talking to us about nonsensical things. We want to know about Latina. We want to know. But I want to talk to you about, no, I don't want to talk about that. I want you to tell me about that. I heard about this. What about that? What are you doing about that?
Right.
What is your thought about it?
Right.
And if they can't answer that question, you need to reject them. Issue-based. There's no better time. Yes, ma'am.
Now, interesting enough, you asked, what about the clergy? You asked that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to revisit that, and I will answer you that another time.
We need to know.
I am a member of the NEWARK Clergy Alliance. Okay, and I will, all due respect, I will give them an opportunity to speak on it before I address it negatively. Before I make an assumption, I will give them an opportunity.
Yeah, give them an opportunity. What do you say?
So I know you're listening, so I'm just saying that. Because before I get home, I know my phone will ring.
Well, and it should be. It should ring, right?
Yeah, it should ring.
We should be putting this kind of pressure. And there's nothing, listen, people, there's nothing wrong with this. This is what we should be doing. They said they wanted to lead. Now we're pushing them. We're forcing them to lead.
Giving them something to do. They make good money, checks, pensions. Give them something to do.
This is a quote that I put up on my page. And I'm going to repost this. It said, "We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented." See, so when people tell you, I don't want to take sides in this, then what you're saying is, I don't want to help those who are being oppressed. I don't want to help those who are being tormented. I don't want to help. That's what it means when you say, I don't want to take sides. I want to keep things the way they are. Even if we're telling you that they're horrible, you say, well, I don't want to get involved. So we have to. Well, listen, I appreciate your courage, right? We did a show a while ago, and it's important for me to say this in the last couple of minutes. We did a show a few weeks ago where it got pretty contentious in here. And folks were saying that women like you who take your time managing your pain to come out, that if you don't come out in a timely fashion, you're cowardice. And I spent a better part than, 4 hours. I went beyond the 2-hour show for another 2 hours to really address that. Are you a coward because it took you the time it took you to come out?
No, I'm never a coward. What's got me, what this has done to me has made me even stronger. They put a plateau around me and called me the angry black woman. Like they do all of us African American women that has a voice and don't want our voice to be silenced. I'm not a coward. It's just that I've just had enough. Enough is enough. And they want you to come out with in a timely manner, but you have to understand something. Every time something happens, it doesn't mean that you always have to react at that particular time.
That's right.
Okay, because sometimes things happen and they happen for a reason, and then they happen at a strategic time in your life. When that happened to me, and then when those things was going on with me, I was in a very difficult mind state, and I I couldn't even stand up for 2 minutes without crying or telling, to even try to tell my story at that particular time would have just been too emotional. So now I've had time to surface it. I have time to revisit it. I have time to say, listen, I like #MeToo. No, #I'm free.
Wow.
I had to say that to myself. I'm going to be free of this. This is not going to plague me for the rest of my life. I'm going to go on with my career, and I'm going to succeed just like I wanted to succeed when I began my career. And nobody has the right to take that from me. Nobody. They didn't give it to me, and they don't have the right to take it from me. And so I'm going to fight.
And what do you say to the women who are still in the fire department who are going through what you went through for 17 years?
#me free. That's what you need to be saying to yourself. You need to be saying #I'm free. Not #me too. That's fine too. But #I'm free, because I'm not going to allow this to keep going on.
Right. Well, listen, again, I want to thank you for your courage.
You're welcome.
Pastor
Thank
Bird,
you so much for having me.
Thank you again for coming in.
I appreciate you.
Diane.
I appreciate Diane. Diane is the girl.
She is the girl, and I'm happy to have her here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Tomorrow, guys, make sure you tune in. We've got our other female co-host, Sonia Vera from the North Ward of Newark, who has agreed to join us. So we're trying to bridge the gap here.
Diversity.
And create diversity and all those other kinds of things. So we do try to listen to what the callers and the folks in the feed say. You can get one plug. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And you can hear me live on Sundays from 7 to 10, 6:20 on the AM dial, Lady D Gospel Hour.
7 a.m.?
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
7
to 10
p.m. to 10 p.m. every Sunday. Lady D Gospel Hour. Please tune in. Even if I'm not there, tune in. She will be there.
Thank you, guys. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks for listening to the Eric Dawson Radio Show. Now that you've received this dose of thought-provoking information, why not put it to good use? Spread the word and turn your knowledge into action.
That's always helpful. Folks can come up with a discussion. We can engage them, and then through the information, they can be empowered to make a change in the community.
Tune in regularly for more food for thought. This has been the Eric Dawson Radio Show on RTH 2000.
Met her over the phone, yes.